let's go to the starting point that most couples begin at, and it might be because of some of this comparison game or just the ideals we bought into in our culture. But Heather, how would you answer this question that's burning a hole in people's minds? How often should couples be having sex?
There's no magic number. I know, to throw that out there.
Such a cop-out answer.
Well, it's the truth, because it's one of those things that it really depends on your season of life. So for young couples, for newly married couples, they might be having sex all the time because it's new and exciting and they're figuring it out and they're willing to take risks.
Lots of free time.
Exactly, right. And so
Seriously.
they have it made sometimes when it comes to sexual experience. But then on the other hand, they don't have that longevity that you see with other couples, and even couples that are, having kids. That can be a little bit of a rocky road for couples when it comes to their sex life, especially for new moms. Having sex can be scary, and they have to be super intentional with, after that 6 to 8 weeks mark that they re-engage with their husband and having sex. That can be really scary. And then at the same time, when your kids get a little bit older, especially when women get to their mid-30s and they reach their sexual peak, that can be kind of exciting for parents who have kids. And then even for older couples, there's some, really great time, like you were saying, Trevor, that you have all this experience. And so you would expect to have great sex, but then there's things like menopause or erectile dysfunction that interfere. And so really, it has to do with your season of life, I think, more than anything else.
I think, obviously you've got the hormonal and the physical changes of having kids. And I mean, anybody who's listened to the podcast knows that we're in that season. Our son is 2. It's not even just those things on the female side, really, because there's so many changes that happen there. But it's also, as you're kind of talking about the emotional intimacy and the connection, that stuff changes because we're spending so much time and energy pouring into this little guy that by the end of the day, we have less energy, right? You're talking about you have more time. And in my friend group, we do make fun of those couples that have no kids and have 2 jobs. And there's a code name for it, and I can't remember it right now. My friends are going to be so upset that I don't remember it. But
Dinks.
Right.
Double
income, no kids. Yes.
It's
Thank
a beautiful
you.
Season of
Thank
life.
you. Right? We love our children. Let's be honest. But I just think that there is that season where a lot of energy is going to other things, and sometimes sex can take the back burner. And the longer I've been married, we're almost at 4 years now. The longer I've been married, I've been understanding that doesn't necessarily dictate the health of the relationship.
Right.
And I'm so thankful that you're saying that, the seasons, because it's okay. Maybe you're in winter and it's everyone's burrowed inside with blankets on and there's nothing happening. And that's okay. And for me, I'm even saying this and trying to internalize it. That doesn't mean that relationship is poor or that I'm somehow a subpar husband because my wife doesn't want to jump my bones every 10 seconds. That doesn't mean anything as far as the health of our relationship.
Right, exactly.
And while I agree completely with that idea of seasons of life and where we're at, I think we have to be careful too that doesn't actually become a shaming or a condemning voice for us, because I've talked to a lot of young couples that they get married and it's not easy. For some reason it's hard to connect, or it's painful, or she's got emotional baggage, or he does, or he's got this sex addiction he's brought in. I mean, there can be all sorts of things, family of origin issues, you name it, that might make a young couple's sex life difficult. But if they feel we're young marrieds and we're in a season of life, and Heather just said they're having sex all the time, and we're not, what's wrong with us? And that can be the very thing that maybe keeps them in hiding, because they don't know how to face that ideal that we're not what we should be.
Right.
I think some of the greatest advice I got at our wedding, just a relative that said, on your honeymoon, be patient with each other. Just that idea of being patient. And what that meant to me, and as I've thought of it now for almost 20 years, that meant take time to get to know yourself and your spouse and how you relate. And whatever it is, it is. Don't try to meet up to some season of life expectation or what you believe others are. Be okay with where you're at. And then if you find you're in a season of life where you're not connecting, be willing to ask questions. If there's a medical issue, to be willing to face that. If there is an addiction issue, being willing to get help with that. If there's pain involved or emotional things, that if you can have the conversation and face it, don't let your season of life condemn you, because the other flip side of it might be a young couple with kids are just well, we never have sex because we never have energy. It's well, but maybe you should be thinking about how to prioritize that a little bit, how to create some date nights, how to create some space where you do feel like it, because it's part of a healthy relationship that you don't want to just excuse, well, I'll see you in 10 years in bed when our kids go to college. Because that relationship won't be very strong.
Right.
So yes, we want to acknowledge the reality of our season of life, but also not let it kind of become something that condemns us and leads us into unhealthy behavior.